I will let them know that I am prepared, and in celebration of Ryan Yu's fantastic Sky Striker victory, we are going to be off to watch a little bit of Sky Striker of our own play against a deck that never really got its moment in the sunlight with its new support. Talking about Traptrix. Now, these two stun archetypes, of course, have a lot in common. They play some floodgates, they play some trap cards, and they play at a glacial pace. I am excited for a 40-minute feature match. If not because it'll be entertaining, because it will be profitable. And at the end of the day, that's what Yu-Gi-Oh! Is about profit. Yeah, a strong congratulations to Ryan Yu as well. Ryan's a great individual. I seem to run into them at every single tournament that I ever play, and I lose consistently. All right, let's head over there now. So, because these decks play so slowly, I don't think the die roll actually matters too much, you know? Ideally, you'd want to go first to set up spells and traps, but your opponent is going to do so little on their own turn, but it doesn't necessarily matter. Okay, just to be clear, MBT, Ryan's deck is kind of close to mine, but we got a few differences. Well, I should hope so. All right, looks like we are beginning with a 4-Mund Skipper. Wow, and that's one way to get around playing bad cards. Traptrix can be made with any Traptrix monster, but unfortunately there's just not very many good Traptrix monsters. There's maybe 2 that are worth playing. Adding a Parallel Exceed to hand seems extremely strong. All right, so going to lead with a Lightning Storm. That's just about the worst possible thing you could expect to see as the Traptrix player, but if you've got something like a Artifact Sanctum in deck, you might be able to do it anyway. We're going to activate Traptrix here, I think probably to set... I can't imagine what you would want to set and immediately lose to Lightning Storm. The Phantom Knights of Shade Brigandine. That's an interesting one. And look at that. Wow. Gravedigger Hole, Traptrix, Shade Brig, and Compulsory Evacuation Device. 4 extremely powerful cards that unfortunately for our non-Eldritch playing friend do not float. Going to trigger Traptrix Dionea here in order to reset this copy of Gravedigger's Trap Hole. And then of course Sarah will trigger. Sarah Trigger is getting a Floodgate Trap Hole, and that's what this card does best. You know, the argument for playing this deck is that it is a trap card-based deck that is able to recur its advantage. Unfortunately, there's a second one of those in the format, and it directly competes for meta space with Eldritch. All right, we're going to go for a set rotation here, setting a Mystic Mine on the side of the player that already has monsters, and a Sky Striker Airspace Area 0 on the side of the Striker player. Dark Ruler No More, the follow-up play. Wow, that's powerful. All right, well, with no more interaction to worry about, sans a couple of cards in the hand, I think we are likely to see some pluses. All right, so we're going to lead with an Afterburners here, and now that we have 3 in the graveyard, we can pop our own copy of Area 0. Area 0 is going to go into Array. And sometimes you do what you got to do just to get to Ray. From here, we can link off into a Kagari or a Hayate. Use Hayate to attack directly. Notably not doing that in the battle phase because I think it's going to matter that our opponent has a monster. We will send a copy of Widow Anchor. And then in main phase 2, we're going to get the new art of Kagari. Get back the Widow Anchor. Go into Shizuku. Set between 6 and 9 cards. And then fire the Shizuku, passing. Multi-roll is a pretty good one, and you certainly have the time to use it. New art, best art, I could not disagree more. All right, so we're going to normal summon a copy of Dionea. That's the second one. And can Dionea get Dionea? I think it actually can. Yeah. Printed before cards like this had self Xenos. All right, so we're going to go for a Traptrix Dionea. Its effect will trigger. We'll be able to reset, what? Anything? I don't think we have one, right? Oh, this is the Sarah activation to get Traptrix, Trap Hole, Nightmare. Okay. I am now following. Trap Hole Nightmare is kind of a problem for this deck. You know, you want to be able to resolve Kagari, Shizuku, etc. And we're going to go into Nightmare Phoenix in the newly minted zone. Going to discard the third Dionea to hit that set card. Wow, that is frustrating. All right, taking the Nightmare Phoenix in response. I would have considered taking the Dionea just to shut off access to Sarah. Although, we've certainly had our fill of Sarah activations for this turn regardless. Now that a monster has been link summoned, we can trigger the Parallel Exceed in our hand. And summon a Parallel Exceed from deck as well. And I think this is the end of the game. I guess it'll depend on if they're actually playing it. To the best of my knowledge, these are both 4s. Nope, going for an Abyss Dweller instead. My Kingdom for a double or nothing. They'll proceed to end phase, and no big deal. The Gravedigger's Trap Hole that was set off of Dionea, now banished. But we've got a couple of chainable things. Firing the Abyss Dweller as early as possible. This is a thinker. You know, this is a bit of a crusty board state for a striker. Obviously, you want to start with a copy of multi-roll no matter what you're doing. And you're probably going to use the effect of multi-roll to insulate your later plays. Popping a Dark Ruler No More. Opened a couple of copies of Dark Ruler No More aimed at breaking boards, but unfortunately not very good in this individual instance. Shark Cannon time, and we've got 3. So if we want, we could bring back this copy of Sarah. Looks like we are going to do that. And one thing that Sky Striker got as a result of the new ban list is a bunch of really cool ways to win the game in the form of extra deck monsters that keep you on Striker. However, with 4 material, I think we are likely to see something else very particular. Is it Saruya, streamer? No, I don't think it's going to be Saruya. Now think real quickly. This is a hard one. What Link 4 would a deck that plays several different attribute of Link monster want to go into? Can you think of one? Bomber Dragon, that's correct, chat. Boral Sword, that's right, it's Boral Sword. Zeroboros, correct again. Gumblar! You're doing great, chat. Oh, unfortunately, it looks like we were all wrong. It's access code Talker. So access code Talker, of course, can target one of these ones in the graveyard. 1, not exactly what you want, but better than 0. And from here, if we so desire, we can just pop the entire board. Now, this is an arguable position. Do you floodgate the access code here? If you fire floodgate on the access code summon, you can get a game loss. Oh my gosh, access code doesn't have to target one of your monsters used for the link summon. If you use your opponent's, you can still target that. That's so funny. And it looks like we are banishing every single one of these from the graveyard. At some point, we're going to have to pop the Mystic Mine. I don't think we have a clean out to that otherwise. Going into battle phase, walking over the Sarah here for a clean 3,500. And then at end step, I think we actually do get to activate the effect of multi-roll. We can set a copy of Widow Anchor, and that is likely enough to seal the game. This is... I mean, so this is the mechanism by which Sky Striker claws back into the meta, right? It just is probably the best deck at using access code, and access code is an incredibly powerful card. So what do we have in the graveyard? We may be out of Link monsters. Popping the Lightning Storm. Drawing all of the really powerful blind second options here. Going to Widow Anchor the Abyss Dweller. And is that lethal? If we switch this sucker to attack position, I believe it cannot attack. Nope, it can attack. What am I thinking of? Mind Control? Get in for 43-17 and say, GG, let's try this again. That set card's got to be something pretty specific, and it is not. Okay, well, that was a pretty powerful game 1, and you have to recognize that, like, the unfortunate part of playing something like Traptrix is it absolutely must go first in every individual instance, right? Like, you aren't able to play your trap card deck if it doesn't go first. That's just the way it goes. But, unfortunately, all the good haymakers in the format prey on decks that go first and set cards that aren't necessarily reactive on empty board states. All day, Traptrix loses to Lightning Storm, they lose to Evenly Matched, they sometimes lose to Dark Ruler no more if you're able to clear the traps afterwards and they aren't able to plus off of Sarah. Alright, we're going to normal summon a Mirmello here. Mirmello, a much better find than any of the other ones. From here, we're going to go into Sarah. We're going to set at least 1, but likely 3 or 4, and then pass it back. Floodgate is cute, but lines up really poorly against Sky Striker specifically. If you normal summon a Ray and they Floodgate, you can tag out. Well, no Lightning Storm this time, says Tamamo Bay. Well, at least we might actually get to play some Yu-Gi-Oh! Ooh, wow! Sky Striker Aerospace 0 met with a Solemn Judgment. That is a heck of a card. And Terraforming met with a Solemn Judgment as well. I think maybe I would wait until they activated the field, but whoa. I guess it turns off the 3V? Well, Mech Knight Purple is lethal. Alright, let's go to Hornet Drones. From here we can easily go into something like a Hayate. We've got 3 in the graveyard. Going into Hayate puts our opponent at a cool 500 life points. Yeah, this is comfortable. And Traptrix, unfortunately, suffers from being unable to maneuver around lethal by virtue of the fact that they need an 800 attack point monster in attack position at all time. Ooh, normal summoning the Rose into a known floodgate trap hole. I don't know about that one. That's going to special Mirmello. Fun fact, even if your opponent doesn't have targets, Mirmello's effect is a mandatory trigger and will fire regardless, triggering the effect of Sarah and allowing a set of bottomless trap hole. Alright, on to battle phase. We're going to walk in for 15 here. I guess, like, Afterburners is fine here. Yeah, it looks like that's the send. And then afterwards, we'll link into a Kagari, activate Afterburners to get rid of the problem monsters remaining on the field. We could pop the Bottomless, but I don't think you're very scared of it. You probably want to pop this set card, the Unknown. And then from that position, you know, it's a pretty easy walk to lethal. You might even consider not popping the Sarah, instead popping the Mirmello. You know the Mirmello will just become a Sarah regardless, and if it doesn't, your opponent is in a very interesting position. Oh, Tamamo has read their own cards. The Rose won't let me activate my striker spells. Okay, all right. Well, maybe no Afterburners whatsoever. Instead, this floodgated monster is really problematic. We kind of got to use Shizuku to find exactly one of the two remaining spells in deck that will let us destroy cards on our side of the field for no cost. Unlocking from Rose. That's rough. Chat saying Utopia Double is lethal here. If Utopia Double was in the deck, then they missed lethal last game. Dunkoro's 4-0 on Generator? Ooh, I might actually do that. We've seen a couple of Generator already, though. Alright, here's Traptrix Mantis. That's going to add Diane to hand. And then we're going to get a Grave Hole, the new card that this deck has access to. Into Utopia Double. Okay, so they are playing it. They just neglected to do it last time. I wonder why that was. All right, you've seen this combo before. Utopia negating its own effect, and now that an effect or an attack has been negated, you can fire the double or nothing in the hand. That increases its attack to 10,000 during the damage step, so you are able to walk over this copy of Hayate or Kagari for 8,200, and suddenly we have found ourselves in a Game 3 scenario. Possibly they did draw the double or nothing. You are right. I guess that would have to have been it. I think we actually knew the entire contents of the hand. It might have been destroyed early by the lightning storm and I just didn't see it. Chat asking, what deck plays the Numeron cards? Numeron. Now, the Numeron cards are at home in archetypes that play mostly on their opponent's turn and don't necessarily need to summon monsters on their own. So, Guru, Eldritch, Generator, all potential candidates. All right, so we've now made it into Game 3. Let's see if we can get this going. Will Tamamo Bay get a crack at going first? They've been very happy to blind second for the last couple of games with the big haymakers of Lightning Storm, evenly matched, etc. Whoa. This is a start. Set 4, Rose Pass. Alright, so Shizuku is going to trigger at end step, and likely we're going to see an ad of multi-roll, I would assume. No, getting Widow Anchor instead. That's interesting. Alright, evenly matched does it. Nope, does not have it. And it looks like we've got a little bit of a mirror here. The set 4 pass versus the set 4 pass. Well, this is a fantastic situation to be in if you are the Sky Striker player. You're able to cycle through something like a Hayate, a Kagari, and a Shizuku if you so desire, but if you want to invest even less, you can just continue to pass with 5 set. Wow. Folks, this is Yu-Gi-Oh! As Kazuki Takahashi intended. Set 5 pass versus set 5 pass, the mirror broken by a 1500 attack point vanilla, getting in 3 or 4 times. But really, no player is under pressure to take any action. They know all of their opponent's spells and traps are going to be reactive, so the way they likely lose the game is by doing something like performing a summon. Right? And so now Tamamo Bay's in a weird place where do they want to walk into a monster that potentially has 2,000 defense, or do they want to go into a Hayate and lose to something like a Solemn Judgment? Looks like we are going to go for it. What is the set card? There's not very many it could possibly be. Dionea, maybe? Could be a hand trap? Like an Ash Blossom or something? It is a hand trap. It is not an Ash Blossom. DD Crow to the graveyard. Alright, well, where do you go from here? Infinite Impermanencing a Shizuku. Oh, I hope you're not activating that in order to fire some stuff from your hand. That's what I like to see, ladies and gentlemen. An activation of Infinite Impermanence to set a card from hand for a better 5 in the back row. I mean, at some point, you're going to have to deal with this Shizuku. And Tamamo Bay, completely happy to just continue to attack. Wow, this is absolutely riveting. Are you on the edge of your seat, chat? Oh, is something up with my mic? I have to win with Shizuku. Hey, you got it. I mean, we're getting pretty close. Uh-oh. What happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object? Okay, so now that there's a monster on the field, the Afterburners is on, and we were able to clear one of the zones. I think we all kind of expected there was at least an Afterburners there that was just being turned off. You know, the Striker spells, for the most part, are really, really good at popping individual monsters, negating the effects of individual monsters, stealing individual monsters. Not very good against nothing. Alright, looks like we're going for the field spell here, and now the Striker player is free to pop off. We're going to activate Area 0. Could target whatever we want. And a Rose and Array is good enough. We don't yet have Array. Alright, so we'll pop that Pot of Avarice. Whew. To go for a multi-roll. Wow. Tamamo Bay is going to be able to recur so many spells this turn. Or one. Hercules base to the graveyard just to get it out of there. That explains the hand. Shuffling back one card, the Rose. Set an additional one and proceeding to end phase. Says, yeah, I got time. Going to battle phase, what are you going to evenly matched? Oh, they are! Very late draw of that evenly matched. This does what? 1 card's worth of banishing? 2, I suppose. That's better. Alright, and the field spell, the banish, along with 1 unknown. But no monster out of the Traptrix player. Tisk, tisk. And finally, removal for Shizuku has been found. Not that big of a deal for Tamamo Bay, of course. We know they have Array and Grip. Okay, so we're going to normal summon the Ray. Perfect opportunity for a Solemn Judgment from Masa's Shield. A Floodgate instead. Okay, I think we will likely see an activation of Ray, and there it is. And no follow-up means that we are going to get a pretty sweet activation of something like a Kagari off of this. Alright, what's in the graveyard? We've got a 2k attack Kagari here. Afterburners is fine. It's not ideal, but in a scenario where your opponent eventually figures out a way to crawl back into the game, it might be a problem. Ooh. Bottomless is interesting. So Kagari will be banished. We can trigger the Ray in the graveyard, but we can't tag out the Ray in response. So if they have something like a Floodgate, it's not super great, or if they have something like a Gravediggers, we don't even have to think about it. Wow, and waiting forever on that Solemn Judgment, I love it. And here's the Floodgate, as expected! Now there is a monster in the main monster zone, turning off spells and traps until Tamamo Bay activates Sky Striker Mecha Module's multi-roll. That was a lot of hoops to jump through just to accomplish very little. I guess technically Tamamo Bay doesn't have access to a Sky Striker card anymore, but all it's going to take is 1 activation to get the Hornet Drones back. Normal summoning a Sky Striker, Ace, Ray, and if there is no response, this is the end of the game. We can go from Ray into Kagari. Electing instead to go into Hayate and into battle phase. Doesn't necessarily want to walk into a really powerful battle trap, instead content to, I would expect send a copy of... Ooh, I was expecting, Jamming Waves, but Eagle Booster is good too. The Kagari's already banished. Oh, folks, get excited. It's been several formats. Alright, we'll go into Shizuku. At end step, we can grab whatever we like. And I have a hard time seeing how Traptrix is able to claw its way back into this one. This seems pretty clearly like the end of the game. An extremely slow defeat, but wow, at no point was it ever likely that the Sky Striker player was going to lose. Going to the battle phase, doing 1500. Still refusing to go into something like the third Kagari. I mean, the onus is on the opponent to react. Set guard Mirror Force? I don't think so. Are there supposed to be monsters in a Traptrix deck? There are, and we've seen a couple of them. We know they're on Mantis. We know they're on Formund Skipper, Dionea, Murmello. I think that's it. Well, I mean, might as well go to battle phase, see if there's anything to worry about. I'm trying to think what could possibly do it. Compulse into double trap holes, one of which is a floodgate. Nope. And Sky Striker, just as it won the LCS, has walked away with the 4th round of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Quarantine series. Folks, that is going to do it for me. That was a long one, and as a result, almost all of the matches are either finished or in Game 3.